Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, the great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word, love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shati from the Chicago camp, coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. And Florida just passed something that is, as the popular term is now, highly controversial. So I can't say it any better than this lady. So we're going to let her speak and get some scripture.
Made up story about Florida. The Florida State Board of Education approved new standards to teach African American history that will now teach public school students that Black people benefited from slavery because it taught them skills. And that's not the only change that people are objecting to. In high school, for example, teachers are going to tell students about the acts of violence perpetrated by African Americans in a massacre in 1920 where a mob of white people massacred at least 30 Black people. Now, there was over an hour of public commentary where the majority of the speakers were opposed, but the board unanimously approved this. When you think that things in Florida education are bad, Florida finds a way to go even lower. This is not a made-up story about Florida.
And then I believe there's also another story on this. Let me find it real quick. I think it's this one.
Apparently, America is dealing with a huge...
Nope, it's not this one. Hold on. I thought I had like another video on this, but that's okay. You still get the message though. So not only are they betting, as the beloved elder Malcolm in our camp likes to call it, critical race facts. Okay, but now they want to teach how Jakes benefited from slavery and that we learned how and acquired skills, and that incident where she's talking about the Red Summer was a very small incident. Like she was saying, man, the nerve of these devils, the pure nerve of these devils. They are trying anything and everything to keep this narrative going. Because when I first heard this, I'm like, if Jake had benefited so much from slavery, why are there so many lawsuits and cases on file dealing with reparations? Why is there a big conversation about reparations from slavery in America? Well, we all know the answer to that is because we did not get compensated for these things. Where's our 40 acres and a mule? Okay? Where is our property that we used to own that was taken by you devils? Recently, we just had an incident where you had the last three remaining survivors of Tulsa. The last three survivors of Tulsa fighting for the land that they rightfully owned, and the judge turned them down. If we've benefited from if we've benefited so much from slavery, why are we in the condition that we're in? Why doesn't Reuben and Gad, why don't they have beachfront properties? Why do they not have buildings? It's because we were robbed of these things. It would help to spell fields right. That's why it's not coming up. Micah 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. All right, this is bad Uncle Esau. From slavery, from sharecropping, to Jim Crow, to redlining. Okay, put it into law whiteness in Virginia in 1681. So that would exclude pretty much any and all Israelites from being able to establish themselves as individuals who could support themselves, support their communities, and be self-sufficient. That's that iniquity. That's that working that evil upon their beds. Well, we all know the ultimate one was the stealing of our identity, but we're going to keep it to this parameter of the story. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. But at the same time, this does deal with our heritage because, like she said, they're trying to make it seem like we benefited from slavery. Now, wait a minute. Everything shows that we have not benefited from slavery. So why are you trying to change the narrative? It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. See, this was a prophecy. It was a prophecy that bad Uncle Esau would live by the sword. And because he would live by the sword, he would take things by violence. And houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. So if bad Uncle Esau was prophesied to oppress us every day of our lives, how are we benefiting from slavery? Oh, that's right. We learned skills. So you tell me the whole history of Israelites being here, we just finally just so happened to learn some skill in the 1600s. Which we all know is also a part of a false narrative because we all know Jake was ruling in the Dark Ages. And so we were creating things like, I'm going to have to show you. Let me put this on pause real quick. All right, so he telling me Jake didn't have any skill when we were doing stuff like this in the Dark Ages? We were ruling all this time in the Dark Ages, but we just so happened to develop this skill when we came to America. And we only learned these skills through the horrible mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical rape of our people. You got a lot of nerve, devil. I'm going to get back off of this and get some scripture, so I'm going to put it on pause real quick. We were making stuff like that, but you want to have us believe that we acquired these skills in the 1600s. And not only that, let's say that if that was true, as I mentioned before I put this video on pause, let's say that was true. We learned these skills through you raping, robbing, and pillaging us. How is that something to be proud of? And then the lady mentioned the Red Summer. And how pretty much they want to downplay it like that was no big thing. No, the Red Summer was a very horrible thing. Very horrible thing. Many towns across this country were subjected to the brutality of Esau. This prophecy, coveting fields and taking them by violence. As the scripture says, what's that? Establish. Let me, because that's really what happened. All these cities got established by bloodshed. Let me put it on pause to find it real quick. Here it is. Habakkuk 2:12. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. This is bad Uncle Esau, meaning destruction to him. Why? Because the Lord clearly commanded that you should not pollute the land with blood. Get that one. They do pollute blood. Numbers 35 and 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel. So, them making light of the Red Summer is not something that the Lord takes lightly. Because the Lord, though he prophesied that bad Uncle Esau would covet fields and take them by violence and establish a city with blood, the Lord also said, if you do these things, destruction will come upon you. And the only way to make things right is if the people who shed blood on that land, their blood gets shed. So for these people to make very light of something that the Lord takes very seriously just further goes to show this devil's wickedness. And that they have no regard for anyone, especially the history of anyone, of any nation, especially the nation of Israel. They have no regard for that nation's history, only their own, and how they can manipulate it to benefit them, to where, as the scripture says, that even Satan should transform himself into an angel of light. Yep. 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. And how is he doing this? By continuing to manipulate the narrative. Oh, Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you all benefited from slavery. You got skills. You learned trades and crafts. And that whole 1920 red summer thing, it wasn't a big deal. That just kind of happened with a few people, you know? It was just a mistake. It was a miscommunication. Things happened that shouldn't have. We admitted it probably shouldn't happen. Hey, but you know what? What's done is done. That's in the past. Forget about all that stuff. Let's move forward. You devils got a lot to pay for it. See, that's why I can't wait until the kingdom, because it's happening right now. But in the kingdom, all your treachery is going to be exposed. It's going to be nothing but critical race facts in the kingdom. You better believe that. So that's all I wanted to say on this. I hope you are edified. Till the next time, we're going to say shalom.